Hello, this is Dr. S, and we're continuing our exploration on tools and how tools impact us, even simple things that we use in the kitchen or simple tools. No two tools are the same, and this becomes important when we talk about design and engineering. We want the most efficient and effective tool or product that we can design, and so it's kind of good to sit back and do. Remember, we talked about the 5-step process. So step 5, the analysis, the forensics. How well does this perform the function it's supposed to work? So this dude here is a pineapple quarter, and the idea is you pop this in the pineapple and you rotate it, and it slices it for you. It's actually got a little tooth here, and it'll actually slice your pineapple. So you can
You're on.
get it back on.
Mm.
Oh, okay. So you turn this, and what it does is it's got a little slicer in here. It's plastic, but it actually, so this cuts into the pineapple and that slices it, and then you get the core in here. This is one of the coolest tools I've seen, actually, for my kitchen. I love it. I love fresh pineapple. It would take me 5 to 10, 15 minutes to cut the things up by hand, and it would make a big old mess. Get pineapple juice and everything everywhere. I like to save the juice and put it with my pineapple, and then I use the juice after the pineapple's gone to make fresh juice. So this really has, I can do a pineapple in about 2 minutes, and then I get all the juice and everything out of it. It takes me 2 minutes or less to have fresh pineapple, and that is so wickedly cool. So here's a pineapple quarter, and the way it works is, the slices pile up along here, and then you push those little buttons down. You take this handle off, and it just slides right on down, and then you got sliced pineapple, and that's how you can get the core out that way too. When you core it, you just push it out, and it'll come out. Neat, neat, neat. I really, really, really like this tool. But it does have a flaw. So the first one I bought, the little buttons to allow you to take this handle off and slide all this out, broke. They just didn't stand up. And, after a few washings, the buttons on them broke, because I take this handle off, and so the problem is those buttons broke, and I couldn't use the tool because this handle would just spin round and round when this was trying to dig out the pineapple. So our solution is that we zip tied it, and so now when I'm cutting my pineapple, if it gets up so high, I just kind of manually have to remove that spiral off of there. So I'm not going to get that one really, really, really cool all the way up piece of pineapple. I may get it may come apart in a couple pieces. So I don't get the traditional pineapple rings. I get more like pineapple chunks, but that's okay on there. So but that's a pretty major flaw with that. If that's supposed to be an integral part of the design, and you have to have that, right? You got to be able to keep your handle in place, because you don't want that handle rotating and this is staying still, because then you can't cut your pineapple. They got to work as a team. So that's a pretty significant issue when that piece right there breaks off, which is what happened with the first one. So like I said, we zip tied it, and so we just manually removed the pineapple. So when I bought a replacement, I chose not to remove the handle like you're supposed to, because I don't want that piece to break off. So this one, we don't remove it. We just keep the handle on there, and then remove the pineapple by just taking off pieces of it to get it to fall off, because it'll fall off when you do that. So I basically am removing the pineapple through the bottom, instead of through the top like you're supposed to. And that's okay. It doesn't come off in that one really, really, really pretty piece, but it's pineapple and it's delicious. And all I care is that I get my delicious pineapple and I don't have to spend 15-20 minutes and make a big mess cutting up fresh pineapple all the time. So we have to think about that sometimes in our tool design. So that's a good idea, bad idea kind of thing, because it is easy, but if it breaks, then your tool becomes useless. So on this one, we had to actually do a fix so that we got the tool. So the reason why I got two of them is we eat a lot of pineapple. So that way I've always got one handy when I need to cut my pineapple. So that's my pineapple ones. Let's talk about, while I'm talking kitchen tool. So let's talk a couple other items while we're talking. So we got apple slicers. And apple slicers are wickedly cool. Kind of the same reason the pineapple, because normally with an apple you either eat it whole, and let's say you've had work on your teeth, or you got dentures, or you got something going on, you can't do that. So you have to manually cut up your pineapple, and you have to decore it, and that's kind of a hassle, and sometimes you have to worry about cutting yourself, if you don't get it right. So it can be problematic, and it was really a deterrent for us eating apples, because it's such a, I got to cut up an apple. It's going to take me a few minutes to cut this apple up, so I'm going to eat grapes instead. Was pretty much the way I was approaching it, because they're a lot easier. Just pull those dudes right off. Why mess with apples? So I bought these apple cores, and I bought two different ones. And that's because I was using them so much I needed two. Just like the pineapples, because I like apples. I like fresh apples. So there's two different designs. This is just a very simple one. Cuts it into, what am I counting? 8 pieces is what it does. And then the core comes out the center. This is really, really, really sharp on here. And what you do is you just take this and boom, you press it down. Here's the second one. And it's got a little cover on the bottom of it, which is pretty cool to have this little cover. So you just, little effort, pop the cover off. And then same kind of principle, you push this down. This one has 12. So this one's got more pieces. This has got 12 pieces. So these pieces are a little bit smaller than these pieces. So let's talk about the design flaws on each one. So this, first you saw, sometimes it's a little bit, it takes a little bit of effort to get that cover off. And that's, okay. And it kind of gets in the way. So I'm cutting my apple, and I got this thing right there. So it's kind of going to get in the way. If I got anything in the way, it's going to do this, and I can't use this effectively. A nice thing for a nice reason to have this piece is it keeps my blade sharp, and I don't have to worry about somebody touching the bottom of these blades and accidentally cutting themselves. So it's a safety measure. It's got some, and the other issue that this one has is since it's 12 pieces, you're cutting them smaller, I have to have a little more force. So I got to push down a little bit harder because I'm getting smaller pieces on there. So I've got more cuts at one time. So I have to use more force to get my apple. But again, if you like smaller pieces, this gives you smaller pieces. This one, it's got the bigger pieces, less force to get my pieces out because I don't have as many cuts. So I don't have to force it as much. They're bigger cuts too. So it's easier to cut on there. It doesn't have anything, you don't have to worry about obstructions or opening anything up because it's right there. Big drawback of this one, though, is there's nothing to protect the blades. So the blades are going to dull a little bit faster, and you got the potential that if you grab this thing wrong, you got it in a drawer. And it's the middle of the night, and it's dark, and you got a real bad apple craving. And you just got to have that apple as your middle of the night. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you just got to have your apple snack. I mean, that craving has hit. and you have to have your apple. So you go in the kitchen and you reach into the drawer to get your apple cutter, and can't see because you don't want to turn on the light because you don't want anybody to know that you're sneaking apples. So you do this all with the lights off. And so you go in there and you get your apple cutter and you accidentally grab it wrong, and then you end up like hurting yourself, on it. So that is kind of a little bit of a drawback of this one is you don't have that nice safety feature. But the positives are you don't have that thing kind of getting in the way, and you have less cuts, so it's not as hard to cut your apple as opposed to this one. This one's better if you just like smaller pieces of apple on there, or maybe you're cutting it for a small child and they can't eat bigger pieces, so you use this one instead. And this one, if you go in the middle of the night and you get your apple craving, since it's got that little safety tool, you know which side is up and which side is down, and you're not going to cut yourself or do it upside down or anything else like that. So that's an exploration of that. One more thing from our two more things actually from our kitchen exploration of tools. So in our next installment, we'll talk about some ice cream and bacon and some things around that. So I appreciate you joining me for this part of our video exploration of kitchen tools, and please join me for the next installment. Thank you, and we'll see you then. Bye.